Welcome to PixelTunes Radio,
a podcast where we have fun
talking about video games
and video game music.
I'm Mike.
And I am Ed.
And this is episode 100! That's it.
We're done.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Episode 100. It's been a long time coming. Literally 100 episodes. Almost 4 years worth of PixelTunes Radio.
Unbelievable.
And
I never ever thought we'd get this far.
I thought I would have murdered myself.
I thought I would have murdered you too.
Yeah. We both would have killed me.
It's a murder-suicide, literally.
Yes.
Yeah, this has been like one heck of a month for PixelTunes. I mean, we did Retro World Expo. We did the show with Pernell and Emily and Cam and Todd. And then the week after that, we released the feed from our panel, which was amazing.
Right.
And then 1 week after that, we're here putting out this show. It's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So this episode is all about you guys. So we're gonna kind of spread the love all throughout the episode. We've got some very cool congratulatory messages from fans and guest hosts and composers.
Composers that we haven't even spoken with on the episodes.
That took time out of their day to share their words with us. And we're gonna do a lot of PixelChat questions. We feel like we want to make you guys as much a part of this show as possible.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of questions that we're going to spread throughout the episode. This episode is going to be us picking from the last 99 episodes that we've done.
Some of our favorite jams.
Yeah.
And oh my god, we've got some jams on this episode.
This may be our best track listing ever. I know,
except for one.
Well, no, that one in particular is fantastic, so we'll get to that in a bit. But let's jump into a PixelChat question, and then we're going to immediately go into our track. We'll talk a little bit about that. So our first PixelChat question comes to us from Ben Ishman, and he asked, did you have a topic that surprised you with the quality of songs you found, either good or bad? Meaning, say you were really looking forward to the episode on typing games, but found terrible music, and conversely, you were dreading Chinese parody games, but the music was jamming. Why don't you go first?
All right. I think a lot of the company spotlight games that we did, specifically like you mentioned Jekel as a topic, and I kind of went along with it. I was like, what are we like? When I think Jekel, I don't think really good music.
Yeah.
But we pulled out a lot of really cool stuff from a lot of really cool composers that we had no idea about.
Yeah.
At the same time, the Core episode, when I think of Core...
I was going to say Core.
I knew about Martin Iveson, but I didn't know Matt Furness had done some stuff for them. I didn't know there was a lot of earlier stuff on the Amiga that was really cool, Format. Matt Simmons did some music early on, so we got a lot of cool music out of that.
Yeah.
So, and even the Yoshi episode, we think of cartoony stuff, but we played a lot of really cool, VGM, darker VGM stuff that I like to listen to, even in our Yoshi episodes.
Yeah.
I think there are gems to find in almost any topic that we do, and I'm kind of constantly surprised by the stuff that both of us are able to find when we dig deep enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely that Core episode. That really was I was kind of, to be honest, dreading the episode, and the whole reason why I did it was, why I suggested Core was, I think I was playing some Tomb Raider stuff, and I was working on covering some Tomb Raider games or whatever, and I
think it was right around the release of Rise of the Tomb Raider too.
I think so, yeah, and I just got hooked into playing after listening to that track by, who is it? The one who did the Game Boy tracks for Tomb Raider, the Game Boy. I think that was
Manfred Linsner.
Yeah, Manfred Linsner, yeah. So I remember listening to those songs and being like, these are really good songs. I'm going to play these games. And I ended up reviewing them. So that's kind of what spawned that. But that music in that episode was great. The Sega CD episode, that one as well. I was really I was kind of like, I don't know what we're going to find, but we found some really great stuff. As far as looking forward to quality of songs that were bad, I would probably say... Ooh, that's tough. I hate saying it because I loved having an episode with these guys, but the Pixelated Audio episode we did with them, with what was it? Capcom, SNK versus Capcom.
We did Capcom versus those were the tracks that you really didn't like.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a pretty rough episode to get through, just because I really wasn't feeling any of the music. So it was I didn't really have much to say, but it was really great talking to Pixelated Audio. So it was it's tough. Where do you
it's a great show, but the music wasn't as good.
Exactly,
so, yeah.
exactly.
I mean, I like that music a lot. I mean, I played that game a lot, so I had more of a nostalgic value for that stuff. I mean, to answer that second part of the question, I ended up liking the music a lot for every single episode we've done.
It. Mike's picks.
Oh, well, that was awful. You know, I was going to spare your feelings for that. No, you had some good stuff on there too, but yeah, I don't know. I think we've continually pulled out some quality stuff. Like our vocal episode, a lot of people didn't like that episode at all.
I absolutely love that episode.
I thought it had a lot of great stuff too.
Yeah,
so you know, it's funny how our opinions can differ from the listeners and such.
Yeah.
I don't have any that stick out in my mind as like, oh, I really don't ever want to listen to that episode again. But yeah, very cool question. Thank you, Ben Dishman. You can also find Ben's podcast. It's called The Dyad Presents a VGM Podcast, and I've been listening to him since episode 1. He's got some really good shows out there, so definitely take a listen to him.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our first track. What do you say?
Yeah, first track is a pick from me. I chose... So we basically chose, or at least as far as I go, I chose music that I really didn't know about before we started the podcast.
Okay.
And have just become kind of a part of my daily rotation of VGM that I listen to. Stuff that I can't stop humming when I'm not listening to it. Things that have just been really memorable to me. So first off, we've got Like the Wind, B-Course from Power Drift. This is the arcade version, not the Saturn Arrange version. This came out in 1988, composed by Hiroshi Kawaguchi.
Hello, my name is Hiroshi Iwatsuki. Congratulations to PixelTunes Radio on 100 episodes.
All right, that was Like the Wind from the B-Course of Power Drift, which came out on the arcade in 1988. That was a Sega-published game composed by Hiroshi Kawaguchi, and that was from Episode 9, our Racing Tracks episode. That was a fun one, and this is a great track, too.
I don't even... It's been so long since we've had Scott on the show. We should really bring him back at some point.
Yeah, he's a great guest.
Yeah. When we decided that we were going to do a racing episode, he was my go-to. I was like, this guy, he knows so much about racing games and racing music. And, you know, he's a big fan of those, and I know you're a big fan of them, too. So I'm not as much, but I really dig the music here, and this track just kind of keeps going. And it's been so long since I listened to this track, I kind of forgot about it, so it was a nice kind of refresher, very like Zuntata-esque.
Very, very much so.
That's what I thought of the entire time, and it's a great, like, especially that, like, part more towards the beginning. It just sounds like a great track to just, you know, throw the top down and, you know, drive, you know, like across a bridge with their wind in your hair.
Definitely.
It's good stuff.
And like I mentioned, like at the start of the show, it's one of those tunes that the melody is just so catchy that I find myself just whistling or humming it, and not even realizing I'm doing it and being like, what is that from? Oh yeah, Power Drift. And so I always kind of come back to this track because it's always just kind of floating around in my cranium somewhere. Just an absolute joy to listen to. I mean, Hiroshi Kawaguchi's done all sorts of stuff, Space Harrier and all that old Sega stuff. Fantastic composer. You know, this song uses... It's a YM2151, which was that chip that's in the Sharp X68000, plus a Sega PSG that was in the Master System. So he's not using any really high-tech equipment or whatever, and he's making some great stuff with it. I really like that breakdown towards the end, where you get these chuggy, like, bass line guitars, some of those, like, kind of spacey notes with these FM sweeps going on in the background, and then it just rolls right back into that melody again. It's so well crafted, and those transitions are so well done. I think this really kind of set the tone for what FM, VGM, like, was in the future. For future, like, you know, especially Zuntata. I think people were very influenced by a lot of Kawaguchi's music, and so that's why this kind of... You say this sounds like Zuntata, but maybe Zuntata sounds more like this, you know?
There's a part where it sounds almost like it's going to lead into Daddy Moke from Ninja Warriors. So. That part that's like da-da-da-da, da-da. I'm waiting for it instead to go like, instead of da-da, I'm waiting it to go like da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
And that's what I was waiting on, and like I didn't hear it, and now I just want to go listen to Ninja Warriors.
Yeah, no, that influence is very real. I didn't even catch that. Yeah, good call.
Good ears.
Man. So what, episode 9 was almost, like 3.5 years ago?
Something
almost?
like that, yeah.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
We were in your new house by then, weren't we? I think so.
Ooh, yes, maybe?
I think so. I think our first, like, 6 or 7 episodes were at your old place.
Yep. Yeah,
and then we moved into here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the only guests that we had on... Well, I think we did have Scott on...
Todd and Brian.
Todd and Brian were the earliest guests that we had, and it was just... We didn't know any composers, or, we didn't really think that reaching out during, like, our first few episodes would be a good idea.
Yeah. So it was great to have friends on that are really into VGM, too.
Yeah.
So, and Todd, of course, was a big listener of Legacy Music Hour, so... He kind of jumped at the chance to be a part of a new VGM podcast. So
those first 10 episodes were just kind of a blur, and they just to me, I really don't think that the podcast was like fully enveloped until probably like the Contra episode, like right around there, or maybe the Game Boy episodes, like shortly after the
like in the early
first
20s,
10.
something like that.
Yeah. Just because I just really didn't think we knew what we were doing, and we had kind of a formula down, but we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants.
It is fun to go back and listen to those and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe we said that, or
I know.
I can't believe we set the show up that way, or why is that background music so loud? Why am I playing different music than what I just played? Very, very interesting choices that we made back then that we've kind of refined over the years.
I think it's just it's all part of evolution. I think you gotta kind of, your podcast should always evolve.
Exactly.
And, get better. You always want to improve. But we've gotten into a groove at this point where we know what we're doing, and we can, we have a formula, and we can make it work. But, episode 9, pretty cool. I really haven't gone back and sifted through these early episodes, so it was nice to hear a track that, I could maybe throw in my playlist going forward. I don't think Scott picked all these tracks, right?
No, I think we split them up.
We split them up,
I think we gave
right.
him 4 and we took 3 each or something like that.
Yep.
So, want to get into another Pixel Chat question?
Yeah, let's do it.
This one is from Cameron Mounts, he's one of the Cameron triumvirate that hangs out in our Facebook group. And he's been a fan, I don't know, since the 50s or 60s. He's been with us for quite a while.
Yeah.
Always has really, really cool things to say. He has very refined tastes, I think. And he doesn't like Tim Fallon, which kind of upsets me, but I won't hold it against him because he's a really good dude.
Right.
So he asks us, if you are forced to give up all but one console and your current game library, which means no ROMs and no PC, which console is the one you'd keep?
So all the games that are currently in your physical game library, I guess you could say.
I'd say physical or digital, as long as they're legally owned.
That's true. Let's
make it a little easier on me, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's tough. Either NES or Super NES. It would have to be one of those one, just pull it real close and be like, all right.
Don't think about it, just do it.
Yeah. Just the NES was my very first system. So I don't think I could give that up.
Yeah.
I think the even though the memories for the Super NES are definitely there. And there's so many games that I haven't beaten on the Super NES. I really feel like if I gave up my NES, I don't think I could do it. That system is just so core to my experience as a gamer that would be it.
Understandable.
Yeah.
For me, it wouldn't necessarily be my favorite console. I would probably be forced to choose more the one that I had the greatest variety of games for. And since I've been a PSN Plus member for so long, I have this combination of physical and digital collection of over 200 PS3 games.
Right.
So I think I'd probably go with that, just because I would have the most stuff to play. And there's a PS3 was a great system. I loved a lot of the games that were on there. And my physical collections for Super Nintendo and Nintendo, they aren't really that big. I have the games that I kind of grew up with that I have a large nostalgic value for. But, since I got the EverDrives, I sold off a lot of the stuff that was really, valuable or that other people wanted. So I'm left with maybe, 10, 15 games for each of those consoles that were just ones that I really wanted to hold on to.
Yeah.
So I would really probably go with PS3 since I had the greatest variety of games for it.
Word. Cool. Yeah. All right, so our next track is my pick. It's Soldier Blade from the TurboGrafx 16 episode, which was episode 84. And this track is Operation 1. It's by Keita Hoshi and Makiko Tanefuji.
This is Matt Furness wishing PixelTunes Radio a very happy 100th episode. Woohoo!
Welcome back. That was Soldier Blade for the TurboGrafx 16, and that track was Operation 1 by Keita Hoshi and Makiko Tanefuji. That was played on episode 84, which was I always called it our split EP. It was our TurboGrafx 16 meets PC Engine, East meets West sort of vibe.
Yeah.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
That was a lot of fun, and that I gotta say, I guess I could probably add the TurboGrafx PC Engine episode to our list of the first Pixel Chat question that we had, because I was kind of dreading picking tracks for that, because I think you were the one that suggested it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I'm so not familiar with PC Engine or TurboGrafx. So it was like one of those things where, and I didn't really collect for the system. I had the 2 games that you gave me on that Winter Games episode. And I never really thought to collect any more because TurboGrafx prices are just astronomical right now. And after this episode, I bought my first TurboGrafx game on my own, which was Laser something? What's it called? Blazing Lasers.
Blazing Lasers, yeah. That was a great shmup.
Yeah, really good, great music and everything. So that kind of got the ball rolling, and ever since then, I've kind of been leaning more towards, honestly, getting an EverDrive for the system, just because the prices are just so crazy. But this game in particular, after this episode, I was like, there's 2 games I must own in the future for the TurboGrafx 16: Soldier Blade and Airzonk. And those are like the 2 that I really, really want.
You'll have to remortgage your house to get them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, especially Soldier Blade. That one's up there in price. But, this track by Keita Hoshi and Makiko Tanafuji is just incredible. Balls to the wall right out the gates, and it really sets a tone for the rest of the game. So it's really good. It's an awesome shooter, Soldier Blade. It's like one of the best games for the TurboGrafx.
Yes, it is. And with this track in particular, I really like when they used sampled percussion. On the TurboGrafx.
Yeah, those
16
drums,
PC
especially
engine.
like the roll.
Yeah. Their samples have like a very warm sound. It's not so like hard and crunchy like it is on the Genesis.
Right.
So these drums kind of feel like they're kind of like off in the distance maybe a little bit. But that's good because, a lot of the tones on the TurboGrafx are very warm too. So it has a very, like almost a diametrical counterbalance to like the Sega Master System.
I was going to say,
sounds, where that sounds very bright and very cold.
Yep.
And these are very warm and very dark, so it's very cool to see how 2 different chips can really make different music sound so different just because of their tones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a fun episode. This was a great game and a great track too.
I agree. Yeah. The game is great. The music's great. I just really wanted to play this track again. Most of the tracks that I picked were tracks that I just wanted to hear one more time before we kind of like retire them into the beyond.
Like Rambo. The John Rambo of the VGM music. So, want to do another Pixel Chat question?
Yes.
Sure. Let's ask a question from our fan, John Jekel. He asks, what are some of your favorite episodes? I mean, we were probably going to talk about this anyway, so great opportunity.
I gotta say, I really love the vocal track episodes. One of the episodes that I continuously go back to listen to, like on my way to driving to work. So that's one of my favorites. That's why it was so sad when people were like, "Oh, I don't really like this one." I was like,
I know, I was surprised too. I really felt like we did a good show there, and I was kind of shocked. And I'm not obviously angry at any of the listeners who told us that they didn't care for it. But I do understand when you're a VGM fan, you're usually a VGM fan because you like instrumental music,
right?
Because that's what like 95% of it is.
Yeah.
So having an entire episode of music that doesn't suit your tastes,
makes sense.
I can understand.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. For me, I've always said the Sharp X68000 episode was one of my favorites. I really like the Tim Fallon episodes that we did, especially that first one, because I really felt like we brought him to life in our show, even though he couldn't be on the show. I feel like,
he's alive.
He was almost there with us, that was very cool.
The Iku Mizutani episode was very memorable for me just because I got to interview my favorite composer.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, I like any of the composer interviews. I mean, Matt Furness was an amazing guest. Matt Kramer was an amazing guest.
Agreed, yeah.
I hope we get to have more composers on in the future. We have been talking to a few here and there, so hopefully we'll have some very special guests coming up. Anybody that we can talk to that already has like a web presence, Matt Ezero, We Guy, they're just fantastic. They know their stuff.
Avalanche Jared,
I love getting outside knowledge that we can share and discuss on the show, and then present it to people that listen to the show, and they can be knowledgeable about it too. So those have always been my favorite episodes, the one that have both a blend of humor but also have a lot of really cool information that you can absorb.
I like any of the like big time Nintendo stuff that we did. Like the Zelda episode was pretty cool, the Metroid episode, Star Fox episode.
See, those three were at like the bottom of my list.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, I'm just
not that into those series.
Sure.
too much.
Yeah, I will go and re-listen to those just like if I'm in the mood to listen to those franchises for those games.
Right.
Those are probably some of my favorites. The shmup episodes, anything with the shmup episodes.
Yeah. Same song, different systems
Yeah.
are always fun to do as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, those are cool. Lately, I've been listening to the Ease episode a lot. Like, just going back and re-listening to that and getting really, really excited to do, like, Ease Part 2 eventually.
The Further Adventures of Adol.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've been playing Ease 8 lately. I'm like maybe 8 or 9 hours in, and I'm loving that game. Like, it is so good, and the music is fantastic. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, oh man, this music's so great. I want to listen to more Ease. Okay, let's go do that. So
Very cool.
yeah. Actually, that's a good segue for our next track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ease,
Yeah, what'd you pick?
our next track is composed by Yuzo Koshiro, who kind of cut his teeth on Ease 1 and 2.
Yeah.
This is, I love the title of this track just because it brings so many fun memories.
Yeah.
I'll Save You All My Justice from The Scheme, which was released on the PC-88 in 1988. Let's give it a listen.
Ed and Mike, how's it going, guys? It's Brian and James from Pixelated Audio.
What's up?
Just wanted to make a little clip and say congratulations on your 100th episode. It's a big milestone.
Oh yeah, I mean 100 episodes. That's a lot of time and effort put into it. Years even.
Yeah.
So
We're coming up on our 100th episode, so we know how much dedication and time and thought and everything kind of goes into it. So we totally respect everything that you guys have done, and we love this community. So it's really cool that you guys are hitting this milestone and are still providing content.
yeah, I remember way back when, we play a track and Mike wouldn't like anything, but well, I guess he still doesn't like
doesn't
anything.
like it.
but it's great. I mean, over the years, you guys have grown, and your guys' banter and the style of games you pick and the way the show's evolved has really been great to watch over all this time. And it's all cataloged, so you can go back and listen to it, and it's really cool to jump around and see early episodes versus newer ones.
Yeah. I do have a little memory that I wanted to kind of share. First of all, we had a really great time doing our SNK versus Capcom duo thing. 2 years? God, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was fun. But it wasn't like the most amazing music or anything, but we had a lot of fun chatting with you guys, and I think we developed a really cool friendship after that episode. So hope to do it again soon. But I do have a memory I want to share. This was about, I want to say it was 2 years ago. It was right around the time your Elemental Master episode came out. So I was in Japan, and my wife was like hanging out with her family, and I went off to go meet some friends at a cafe, but it was like an hour train ride away. I kind of took a detour and I went game shopping. I was listening to your guys' show kind of on my phone, and I just remember like laughing kind of to myself, pouring rain, and I know everybody else was all serious on their cell phones, like kind of like typing away, and here I am just like the only like loud white guy on the train just laughing at your guys' banter. So it was a good memory for me. So anyways, hope you guys keep it up, and here's to another 100 episodes.
Yeah.
right, that was I'll Save You All My Justice from The Scheme, which came out on the PC-88 in 1988, composed by Yuzo Koshiro, one of the most well-known composers in VGM worldwide, I think. This was from episode 15, Composer Selection number 1, Yuzo Koshiro, which was our first.
We never did another
spotlight.
one of those.
Well, we didn't title them like that.
Right.
I think at the beginning, a lot of our episode titles were really long and really hard to fit on our title cards that we put out, so we made them a little more simple after a while.
Yeah. Basically, just the Yuzo Koshiro episode is what you can call this one.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny. I'm having like flashbacks. Like, I remember my favorite part of this track, and this is, I'm pretty sure, what I brought up in the episode, which was the part where it's like dun 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 dun. Like I love that with the bass, with the do with the galloping bass. Just that's probably my favorite part of that track. But then I love the hand claps. Like a little bit after
towards the end, right before the loop. Yeah, I really like that part too.
That's great.
And how it just like bum, bum, psh, and goes right back into the song again.
Oh, it's awesome.
You know, this was one of those tracks where when we did the Yuzo Koshiro episode, you know, I was vaguely aware of his pre-Genesis stuff. You know, like I knew he had done stuff, but I wasn't really familiar with it. So this was a great opportunity for us to kind of go back and explore a lot of his earlier stuff that didn't really make it over to the US and be able to share it. So I'd never heard of this game or this soundtrack before we did this episode. And now it's one of my favorite tunes ever. I
think the only Yuzo Koshiro stuff that I knew back then was Streets of Rage, you know, the first 3 games.
Yeah.
ActRaiser 1. I didn't at the time know he did 2, and then Super Adventure Island. And I think that was like my limitation.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Anything I did with Yuzo.
I think I knew about Ys 1 and 2 as well.
Oh, okay.
I had never really listened to them, but I just, you know, kind of like looked them up on Wikipedia and was like, I knew Ys 3, so then, you know, those stuck out in my mind. But then there was a whole bunch of other titles for systems I either hadn't heard of or
Wangan Midnight or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those racing games.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to be able to go through and listen to those and find out that, you know, he just didn't pop up out of nowhere and start making amazing music on the Genesis. He had this huge back catalog of stuff where he kind of honed his skills. Yeah. And, you know, this was kind of his bread and butter, like music like this. Like, he was already starting to get very popular in Japan when this game came out. And then it just kind of accelerated into international popularity when Streets of Rage hit the market.
Yeah, great track. I really dug this. This was a nice one to dig up. Speaking of digging up, let's go ahead into our commercial break. What we're going to do is we're going to pick some commercial breaks that, you know, kind of stood out as some of our most memorable or favorites. You know, these aren't our absolute favorites because we did pick a bunch that were our favorites from, what was that, episode 61?
Episode 61.
Right, where we kind of looked back on the first 60 episodes. So this will be, you know, kind of revisiting not those, but different ones.
Ones we had a lot of fun making, or ones that were very different, stuff like that.
So this is going to be episode 2, which is the Poison Pumps commercial, so let's give it a listen.
Ladies, are you tired of chipping your nails on wooden crates and oil barrels while searching for power-ups? Exhausted from wasting time trying to protect your hands during fights with mayors and policemen? Now there's Poison Pumps.
Hi, I'm Poison from Mad Gear Gang. Ladies, I know how frustrating it can be to protect your nails these days. If you want crime rates to go up and chipped nails to go down, strap a pair of my Poison Pumps on and get ready to kick your crime life up a notch.
Poison Pumps are a special brand of high heels that come in a variety of colors and weapons. Feel free to mix Toxic Pink with our patented spiked soles, perfect for breaking and entering. Need to get into a barrel? No problem. Go green with our Emerald Wasteland that has a secret stash of acid right in the heel. Need to get rid of a hero's heroism? Wipe that smirk off his face by making him explode with our Bombshell Blues, where every kick is an explosion. Listen to this real-life testament from one of Poison's fellow gang members.
Poison Pumps are personally tested by Poison herself and include a no-money-back guarantee if they don't work. Wait, who are you testing these on?
With Poison Pumps, you get my personal stamp of approval every time.
Poison Pumps, now available in all Metro City shoe stores. We are not liable for anything that happens to anyone ever.
Oh, my spleen! Seriously, I think I need an ambulance here.
I just realized I wrote that you get a no money back guarantee if they don't work. I think I said that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was like a double negative of
Yeah,
some sort.
yeah. I didn't even realize that I wrote this one, and I think this is, of course, our second episode, so we're really trying to hone in on making actual products. This is before we started getting into like skits.
Yeah.
This is more like when we were doing like straight up commercials. So this is one of my favorites, and I loved this is my wife, Patty, who was at the time just my girlfriend, and she delivered the lines for Poison, and I thought she did a great job. Like, it was really, like, her delivery was pretty solid. It was like that sultry, raspy kind of, Poison voice that I was going for in my head. So, and I love your, like, goon voice. It was very,
It's like half a Bobo, half Brooklyn.
Yeah. Poison pumps. Yeah, so I don't know. What were your memories on this one?
This one, I remember being shocked about how knowledgeable you were about women's fashion, for one.
I am pretty sure I just really liked colors. So I'm pretty sure I was just like, all right, I need, like, specific colors.
Yeah.
So,
no, it was fun, and it was great. I think the end result sounded like it belonged in the Final Fight universe. With the background music and the voices. So I think it went over pretty well. It's funny because we were so green at doing all of this. Mm-hmm. So it really helped me actually kind of hone my skills at audio editing too, with sound effects and stuff. So we were, I probably now I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I could have changed this, or I could have put this effect here, or used this sound effect. But back then it was like I had a very limited amount of stuff to work with. So
I really like the sound effect that you put in for right when she like punches the bad guy or whatever, and it's like a rolling like that's
a combo.
That was cool how you fit that in.
So we have a Pixel Chat question that kind of ties into all of this. This is from Chris Murray, who seems to ask a Pixel Chat question every week, but he's always got some great questions to ask.
Yes, he does.
So he asks what our most and least favorite skit characters were, speaking of skits and characters. Man. Well, for me, I love doing Ryu. He's so snarky.
Yeah.
He's so fun to play. I really like a Bobo as well. Yeah. But his voice is so gravelly. Like, it really hurts my throat after a while.
We haven't had a Bobo in a sketch in a while.
Not in a while. We kind of like, after a Bobo's Robo Hobo Risotto, I kind of ran out of words. I started reaching a little bit with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
All right, what's least favorite?
Oh, I really don't like what's his face?
Nick Carney.
Nick Carney.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
just his voice is so great. Like, it's good because he's so annoying sounding.
Right.
That playing a character opposite him like helps me be annoyed with him. So I need to be annoyed by him because he's annoying. So
I love doing the Nick Carney thing just because I it's fun to write because I'm always the one that writes the Nick Carney sketches. So. Anytime that we're writing,
I don't want to touch him.
No. I want to. No, I really enjoy writing those just because I can think up the most like inner nerdy aspects of me being like a gamer and a collector, and kind of like make those super eccentric and goofy. And so that's kind of, it's like one of those things. Like I used to work at a video game store, so I know what things to say to video game employees to really annoy the crap out of them. So that's I still to this day want to do another Nick Carney, or maybe like a Nick Carney's kid brother sketch where it's like his kid brother knows nothing about video games or is just getting into them, and like I would base it on a real life experience where I had this one customer who when I worked at I was a manager of a game store, and there was this one customer who I don't know, there was something up with him or whatever, I don't know, he was somewhere, he had some kind of issue or whatever. But he was obsessed with Resident Evil, so he would collect Resident Evil games on PlayStation.
Just kind of obsessively?
Yeah, and then once he got all of them, he would sell them all immediately and then buy them all for like GameCube, like buy all the ports.
Oh, okay.
And then he would sell those and then do the same thing.
It's very singular, yeah, okay.
Right. So like I always like wanted to make a commercial based on that. So like a weird kid brother of Nick Carney. But yeah, I like I love the Star Fox commercials. Those are always fun to do, the Star Fox Diaries, and then also I really want to do more of these, the video game like dating ones. I think that there's so much room for hilarity in those, definitely going to write more of those in the future. So yeah,
It's funny how our writing styles are so different. You like the very wordy,
well, yeah, I'm a writer,
discussion-oriented,
so,
and I go from more like the slapsticky kind of like every line is a little joke in and of itself,
Right.
kind of. So different. Neither one is bad. It's just very different styles of writing. You can, I guess, if you were, I wonder, a question for the listeners. If you guys can figure out which skits
ones,
are written by which person, because we don't announce that.
That's
so.
true. That's true. Yeah, but I definitely wrote this Poison Pumps one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into our next track. So this is my pick. This is Power Rangers Time Force on the Game Boy Color. This is level 4, Fable City Future by my man's Iku Mizutani, my favorite composer.
Your best bro.
My best bro. And this was played on episode 71, which is where we interviewed Iku Mizutani.
What's up, everybody? I am Dread, and you're listening to PixelTunes Radio, episode 100. Congratulations, guys. Here's to 100 more.
Welcome back. That was Power Rangers Time Force on the Game Boy Color. It was released in 2001, and that track was level 4, Fable City Future, and that was by Iku Mizutani. That was played on episode 71, the Iku Mizutani episode where we interviewed him. I remember how much back and forth we had with him, and to be honest, like, for a while, I really didn't think it was going to happen. You know, I had reached out to him. I think we recorded this when? This was last year, right?
Right.
Yeah,
just around last. Yeah, episode 71. So about 20 episodes ago.
So yeah, because
30 episodes ago.
Yeah, we did the Akumajo Densetsu episode, the same song, different system with that.
Yep.
With Castlevania 3, which a lot of people love that episode. And so this episode was right before that. I reached out to him in June to try to get him to be on the episode, and there was just so much dialogue back and forth, and we want to also thank Brian from Pixelated Audio for helping us with that episode.
He was a huge part of getting that to happen.
Huge part, yeah.
He did a lot of work.
Just because once he finally agreed to do the episode, we obviously didn't want to have him, like, he wasn't able to actually be on the episode, so I had come up with a bunch of questions to ask him, and I went ahead and sent those to Brian. Brian translated them into Japanese. I sent him the English and Japanese questions, and then he answered in Japanese, and then I sent it back to Brian. Brian had to translate, and then he gave it back to us via the show itself. So when we were hearing those answers, that was the first time that we were hearing them. It wasn't like we listened to, what we read what he had said. Like, Brian was basically the voice of Iku Mizutani in that circumstance.
Yep.
So that was really cool. And it was just, we learned so much about, like, video game composition from a Japanese composer's perspective that we really didn't have any clue on. So it was really super interesting.
Yeah, we got some very burning questions answered that we had always kind of wondered about. A lot about what his roles were outside of just being a composer, and how he worked with other people, and how music would be collaborated on more than just individual people writing individual pieces. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we had no idea about, maybe theorized about at times, but And then we got to play some amazing music from him as well, including this track. So it was a really good memory having him a part of that show, even if he couldn't be there live.
Yeah, definitely. That's still, episode 71 is one of my favorites. That's definitely one that I still go back to and listen to this day. So, but yeah, the track itself, I really love right before the loop when it's like dun 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 dun. I love that. I love the whole, noodly melodies that are going on in the beginning of up and down. So.
The melody almost reminds me of like an Alberto Gonzalez song. Do 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 do. Not as bouncy, but it's got that same kind of like wistful kind of feeling to it that a lot of Gonzalez's music has. And Mizutani is usually more along the lines of like, the rockin' out, thrashy metal kind of song.
Yeah.
This one kind of skirts the line because all the backing instruments are very hard rockin', but that main melody is almost like a flute or a violin or something that's a lot more classical and a lot more whimsical. It's pretty good juxtaposition between the two sounds.
Nice balance. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so our next Pixel Chat question comes to us from Dan Bisciglia, and he says, what do you feel is the single most iconic video game sound effect? I'm going to go with the coin noise from Mario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Makes sense. I mean, you hear that noise, you know what it is.
Yep.
I was going to say the Street Fighter 2 punch sound effect. You hear that all over the place. They used it in Final Fight and Street Fighter. You hear that sound effect and you know it's a punch. It's like you can't really mistake it for anything else.
Yeah.
And they kind of use the similar sound effects. I think Natsume did it in a lot of their Ninja Warriors games. You kind of hear that little like thud all over the place. So that's one of the most iconic for me.
Also, the Final Fight sound effect, specifically on Super NES, when it sounds like a door being slammed, but it's like like that really cool like sound effect. I don't know what it is about that one, but that always stands out to me. If I was to go with like personal favorites, the screw attack sound effect from Metroid, like the original first Metroid, and also anytime there's like a monster sound effect in an NES game, specifically like RoboCop on the NES, the Data East game, it has these moments where there's like it's either, I think it's Ed 209, and in the movie Ed 209 has more like animal type sound effects, and so they tried to replicate that as best as possible in the game, and it sounds like
it's kind of glitchy.
Yeah, like something shutting down. Like it's hard to explain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that the Sonic Spin Dash is also very iconic.
That's
I'm
true.
going more from like a worldwide perspective rather than just iconic for me.
Yeah.
Everybody here you hear that Spin Dash, even if you're not a video game fan, you can see Sonic rolling up into a ball and kind of smoking out and running around a loop or something like that.
The Sonic ring noise when you get a ring.
Yep.
That one as well, because I actually hear that sometimes in certain gas stations out of the, like, not really in Connecticut, but like if we leave the state, if I'm like on a trip or something and I go to a gas station, I always hear that sound effect, like the ding, and I'm like, somebody pick up a ring? I went to a restaurant where some kid was playing a Sonic game like on his iPad or something like that, and I was hearing the ring noise, and in the back of my head I'm like, I'm looking around and my wife's like looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is your deal? And I'm like, you don't hear that?
Am I going
crazy? Like, I was like, am I having a stroke or something? Like, and so I'm looking around like, who's collecting rings? And then all of a sudden she's like, oh wait, I hear that too. And then like some friends of ours that were with us were like, wait, now I hear it. And we're looking around. We turn around and there's a kid playing like Sonic on his iPad. We're like,
Sounds like the beginning of a dude you haven't played this game episode.
Yeah. I'm like,
suddenly you're like sucked into the game or something like that.
Yeah, like, am I having a stroke? Do I smell toast burning? Speaking of smelling toast burning, what's our next track?
I don't know what that has to do with this, but the next track is a burner. It is the song Cryptech from Crypt of the Necro Dancer, which came out in 2015, composed by Danny Baranowski, and this is from episode 50, our Free Pix 2 Hyper Fighting Edition episode.
Hi, this is Barry Leach, composer of hundreds of video games, and I wanted to wish you guys at PixelTunes Radio a very happy 100th episode anniversary. Congratulations, guys. Keep doing what you do.
Welcome back. That was Cryptek from the game Crypt of the Necrodancer, composed by Danny Baranowski. And this was from episode 50, Free Picks 2 Hyper Fighting Edition. This was obviously our second Free Picks episode. And I realized that we hadn't been doing like any Free Picks episodes. Everything was like a theme. And there was a bunch of
stragglers.
Yeah, a bunch of tracks that I had picked up that like didn't really fit into any particular theme, and I kind of really wanted to play them and show them off. So we decided every 10th episode we would start doing Free Picks, which was nice because it was like a nice break. We didn't have to research things so hard.
Right.
We got to just have a good time and play some cool jams.
Yeah.
So this was one of the standouts from my selections from our Free Picks episode. It just reflects so much of what I listen to outside of VGM. It has this very kind of grindy, like early Marilyn Manson feel. And actually later after we did this episode and played this track, I found an interview with Danny Baranowski, and he said he actually patterned this song after several Marilyn Manson songs because that's what the developers asked him to do.
Right.
So I was like, so that's where it really kind of, came
Makes
together
sense.
for me. Yeah, so it really, really felt like that. This is just a track that I put, I have a folder of, favorite VGM of all time that I'll just put on my phone and kind of put on random whenever I'm taking a long drive somewhere. And I always love when this one comes on, especially when you're, driving down the highway. You just kind of, rock out, pretend you're, in a Quentin Tarantino movie or something.
Right. Yeah. No, I remember really not liking this track initially, but, reflecting on it again, listening to it again, I like it a lot more than the first time I listened to it. There are still parts that kind of seem a little bit too repetitive to me, just more towards the later part of the track where it's just it's like a I guess I kind of get bored with that it almost sounds to me like a CD is skipping, or it sounds like like a circus gone wrong,
right?
Industrial music circus.
And that's that's where the genres that we listen to have a big difference, because a lot of the music that I listen to, like techno and industrial, have a lot of repeating parts.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about tons and tons of times, I'm very much into groove and rhythm, and you're very much into melody. And a lot of the music you listen to, Iron Maiden, different parts come in and out. There aren't a lot of repetitious aspects to that music.
There's a lot of progressive time changes that I like in music, and I like a lot of music that changes but still remains repetitive over time. So if I hear something that's like a groove that's very repetitive, I kind of tune out. But if it's a funky groove, then it's different.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that we play with the Sharp XC68000, the PC98, all that FM stuff I really dig, because it's usually really funky groovy type stuff that to me doesn't get as repetitive as something like this. But I do feel like this would have been a really good Halloween track too.
Yeah.
Maybe. This would have really fit in, because it does have that kind of spooky feeling to it.
Yeah, it does. It's more like a Michael Jackson's Thriller than it is like a Ghouls and Ghosts kind of feel.
Oh, sure,
but yeah,
definitely. And then I was thinking to myself while I was listening to this, and I'm like, Danny Baranowski, I was like, where have I heard that name before? And then I remembered, didn't he do Super Meat Boy?
He did.
That's why.
Yep.
So this sounds a lot like some of the stuff in Super Meat Boy.
Right,
It's very similar to that. So, yeah. So I definitely like this track more than I did when we first played it. So I will say that.
Cool.
Yeah, so it has aged well for me in my brain.
Good to know.
Brainulum.
I hope everyone else enjoyed it too. I think this is really the only non-chip music song we have for the entire episode,
I think so,
which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I think I kind of tried to pick one purposefully, because I didn't want to go so totally retro, because that's not over the last 100th episodes we're not just totally a retro show. I wanted to at least signify that with a quote-unquote modern VGM tune, at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You only picked one track for this, and I didn't pick any NES tracks for this whole episode. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here? But I tried to pick stuff that was very memorable to me personally.
Exactly.
And stuff that
and sometimes
I
the
wanted to
memorable
hear
stuff
again.
you associate with the show is stuff that you haven't listened to outside the show.
Right.
So it makes more sense that would be non-NES stuff, because you listen to NES stuff outside of the show.
Yes.
So let's see. We've got one more Pixel Chat question from Chris Murray, who is a fountain of Pixel Chat questions.
Yes.
His question, basically, he just wants us to reflect on our last 100 episodes. Do we have any regrets or missed opportunities? And what things are we most proud of?
Most proud of definitely any of the composer interviews that we did. I thought those were some of our best episodes.
I'm most proud of going 100 episodes without audibly farting.
That's true.
During a recording.
That's true.
And knowing our stomach problems, that is a big feat.
Right. Stomach Tunes Radio.
Pixel Farts Radio.
Yes, there you go. I'm going to say for regrets, I would honestly say probably my least favorite episode that I don't think I've gone back to listen to was the one we did with those guys that were doing the Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah. Players Score.
Players Score.
Well, we called the episode Players Choice with the Players Score guys. And that was a Kickstarter that never materialized, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It sounded really cool, too, because they were going to do this huge film with interviews with composers and stuff, and we were very gung-ho about it. And I guess funding ran out, or they just weren't able to complete their tasks, so... And they had some audio issues too, so there was a kind of a big struggle with that show to get that one out and sounding okay.
That was our first episode that we did recording with somebody who wasn't in the room.
Correct.
If I recall.
Right.
So that was definitely
one of their mics had died.
Yeah.
Like there was two guys, both with headset mics.
Yep.
And so I had to I could only barely hear the other guy whose mic wasn't working because it was being picked up by the guy whose mic was working.
That was a huge challenge.
So I had to boost up that volume for him. Yeah. It was a headache.
It was kind of a nightmare.
We got it out, and there was some good music in that show. But
yeah, I agree. I just I don't know what it is. I guess just bad, juju.
Yeah.
I guess moju juju. I don't know. Missed opportunities. I would say we were trying to get an interview with Michiru Yamane. And we were going back and forth with discussion with somebody. I can't remember who it was. It was somebody from somebody that I was working with through Mike McDaniel, one of our big time listeners, long time listeners. And
somebody Castlevania related?
Yeah, I think so. It was either Castlevania or Bloodstain related. And we went back and forth for a while. And I was really excited to get it, and it just never happened. I don't know. She's probably insanely busy, so she had a world tour going on at the time and didn't happen.
Yeah, and then there have been several composers over the past 100 episodes where we've gotten in touch with them, and then communication has kind of dropped off for whatever reason. But I don't want to name too many names or anything like that.
No, but we understand that everyone gets busy and people have crazy schedules, and for anybody to take a time out of their day to even answer an email for us is much appreciated.
Right.
Because we're just two guys who love VGM,
Basically.
Yeah.
And hearing our own voices.
Yeah. Two dudes who love tunes. So, let's move on to our next track.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to.
And we had to get here eventually.
Yeah, we did. This is a track from episode 1 of PixelTunes Radio.
Episode 1. I figure at least we had to play something from episode 1.
That's kind of where I was at. I was like, and what track have we referenced more than this track? Global Gladiators on the Sega Genesis. Game came out in 1993. This is the title screen music by Mr. Tommy Tallarico.
Oh boy.
Oh, hey, Emily.
Hey, Josh.
Where are we?
We're in a PixelTunes Radio podcast.
Oh, no wonder the graphics are so good.
Yeah, and all my weapons are way more powerful.
Wow. That must be because the show has charged up so much energy over 100 podcast episodes.
Holy smokes, 100 episodes? You know what that means.
Yup. It's time for a round of congratulations.
Congratulations, all your frustrations have paid off. You got it all in one son.
Are you ready? Yeah. Cool. Are you ready? Awesome. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. You did it. Yeah. Cool. Are you ready? Awesome. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. You did it. Yeah. Cool. Are you ready? Awesome. Yeah. Ouch.
Awesome.
You did it.
What a great track.
Great is very subjective.
Global Gladiators on the Sega Genesis. 1993 was the year of release. The track was Title Screen by Mr. Tommy Tallarico, and that was played way back when on episode Uno. Episode
100 episodes ago.
Yes.
Craziness.
Wow.
Yeah, when we started off, man, I don't know. I wasn't nervous about it. Like,
no.
I've listened to, Pixelated Audio recently did a retrospective, and they talked about how they had to basically it was specifically a look back at their first episode, Golden Axe, and they were talking about how nervous they were and how they had to restart it like 15 times because they just couldn't get it down. I think you and I just the first take, we just boom, we just nailed it out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know why and I don't know how, but we spent a lot of time, working on what the show is going to be about and what we were going to talk about, and we had little hand signals to wave back and forth to each other when we were done talking, so we didn't talk over each other. And I feel like we just had that kind of stuff down. And I don't know. I look back on our first episode and I feel like it isn't that rough, rough as I expected it to be.
Yeah. No, I think that overall we did a pretty good job initially. I kind of feel like this was a weird topic because it was like a composer showcase. So the way that we did this episode was we took one track that was very familiar from the composer, and then we picked another track that was not as familiar. And this is back when we did 10 tracks only.
Right.
We bumped it up.
Back-to-back tracks, too.
Yeah, we bumped it up somewhere around episode 30-ish, I think, to 12 tracks.
People were asking for more music.
Yeah, people wanted more music and less talking, so we just gave more talking and more music.
Basically. Somehow adding 2 more tracks added an extra hour to the show.
Yeah, somehow. I'm not entirely sure. So Global Gladiators, I kind of feel like I don't remember how this came up, this track.
In a nightmare.
In a nightmare somewhere. I don't remember. I think maybe I bought the game used somewhere and listened to it, and I thought, this is really goofy and really weird. And it just... I think the other track that we picked to kind of bounce this off of for Tommy Tallarico was that Earthworm Jim 2 track.
Lorenzo's Soil.
Right, Lorenzo's Soil. And that was just such a different sounding Tommy Tallarico track. I don't know why that was the more popular track that we picked.
Because Earthworm Jim was a more popular game.
I guess. Yeah.
I would like to revisit this topic at some point because I'd like to get into more of a discussion. I'd like to pick 2, not necessarily more popular and less popular, but 2 different songs from a composer that have very different sounds.
Yeah.
Like Yuzo Koshiro does his dance stuff, but also his orchestral stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not composers as popular as him, but maybe some more obscure composers that have very different styles of composing and kind of, compare and contrast stuff like that. I think that would be a cool episode to revisit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I just remember us kind of hashing out how you came over one day. Well, I think you had the day off or something like that.
It was like a weekend or something like that.
Yeah, it was like Martin Luther King Day or something
Maybe.
like that. I was just hanging out by myself.
It was sometime in January, so it must have been like a holiday.
It must have been Martin Luther King Day because I probably went into work later on, so you probably came over in the morning.
I had the whole day off because I worked for a school system.
Right. So I think you had mentioned it when we were hanging out one day, and you and I met shortly before then. I think you and I met in...
A couple months before.
October,
November, and then we started this off in January.
Yeah. So it was like one of those things where we're like, oh, do you want to do a VGM podcast? I was like, yeah. So we kind of sat down that day and we hashed out the details. We wrote it all out in a notebook, which
I still have. I think I scanned it and put it on the Facebook group. Yeah.
That was kind of the beginning, and then we recorded it, and then we decided we were going to do every other week. So that was kind of the start of how the podcast.
And then you played this track, and I was like, "What the hell did I get myself into?"
Yes. I don't know what you're talking about. This track is awesome.
When I saw you pick this track, I was like, why is he wasting one of his picks on this thing? But then, you before you played the track, you kind of framed it up nicely. This is one of those tracks that started in episode 1 that's kind of become like a PixelTunes meme.
Yeah.
We've referenced it on the show. It's been a reference from fans on the Facebook group. It's just become kind of like one of our PixelTunes lore, kind of PixelTunes universe kind of a joke. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're right. I think it does actually have a place in this episode for sure.
Yeah, I had to fit it in somewhere. I mean,
that's what she said.
That is what she said. Yeah, there's just so many ridiculous PixelTunes lore jokes, inside jokes, that I think we're, I don't know, I wouldn't say well known for, but I think that like longtime listeners will remember.
Yeah, we can mention it as an in-joke on the show and people will understand what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, like the All My Justice, the track.
Do you in the Justice?
Yeah.
And that's where that came from.
That's where that came from, was that track that we played earlier, the I'll Save You All My Justice.
I'll do you right in the Justice.
Oh, man.
All right, so speaking of jokes and funny stuff, why don't we get into another commercial break?
Yes.
This was one that was written by me. This is from episode 11, our Totally Game Boy episode, and this one is called Game Bro.
This is the Game Boy.
Hi, my name is Game Boy.
Isn't he cute? He plays all sorts of great games.
Would you like to play a game with me? We can play Super Mario Land or Pokemon or Alfred Chicken.
Oh, maybe later, little one.
Okay, la 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 la.
Isn't he adorable, folks? Well, I know you. You don't want adorable. You want a system that can kick ass and rock out and fart and do manly stuff. Well, we've got just the thing for you. Introducing Game Bro.
Yo ho ho! Where are the game ladies at?
This ain't your grandma's Tetris machine. You've grown up with the Game Boy, and now the Game Boy has grown up with you. This baby runs on pure testosterone and beer. It comes with a razor so you can shave its back. It requires deodorant every morning. And best of all, it only plays sports games.
That's right! NBA, NHL, NFL, PGA, PBA, MLE, and soccer! Yeah! You won't see any Pikachus running this manly physique. Now let's go watch some cheerleader cutscenes.
The Game Bro, 69 bits of hard-hitting, alcohol-swilling, stubble-growing fun. Pre-order now at GameFlop, Best Buy, or Shamazon.com. Not legal for sale where you live.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
I love Best Buy.
Best Buy.
That's great.
Shamazon.com.
Yeah. Shamazon.
I love that skit because I had kind of a view of what the Game Bro should sound like, but I kind of left it up to you.
Okay.
And I think you went in a different direction than I was originally planning, but it was so much better than what I was planning.
Okay.
And by juxtaposition, Eddie just sounded so cute and adorable.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Like,
I love Alfred.
probably...
I love Alfred Chicken.
Yeah,
when he was just like, yeah, we can play this game or that game or Alfred Chicken. Like, obviously you knew of Alfred Chicken. Come on.
Yeah, so he was in like 4th grade, I think, when we did this one.
He was pretty young, yeah.
He's in 7th grade now.
7th grade. Jeez,
yeah,
man. Where's the time fly?
12 years old. His voice has changed. It's not so cute and squeaky anymore. So
hey guys.
Yeah, it was kind of fun listening to this, and he's a pretty good voice actor too. He
did well with this one.
Yeah, he's done good in a lot of the stuff that we've given him, and he's going to be taking a theater class at the end of like the second half of his year in middle school this year, so I'm hoping that he kind of gets into it because I did a lot of theater in school and I loved it too.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I mean this was just a fun episode to do. It was our first console spotlight, and one that required I think one of the first ones that require like a lot of
research
and you know, finding out different facts about the Game Boy, how the sound chip worked. We talked about that a little bit. We try to educate as much as possible.
Oh,
too,
definitely.
Like our motto says at the beginning, we like to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of humor and just fart jokes involved.
Sure.
Shaving Game Boy backs and stuff like that.
That was gross. Shaving Game Boy's back. Ugh.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I was going through a bunch of these last night, just trying to figure out which skits I wanted to play on the show. I don't know if my wife had ever heard this one before. She must have, because I must have played it because Eddie was in it.
Sure.
But she didn't remember it, so she was really cracking up at the farting and doing manly stuff and shaving the Game Bro's back and that needs deodorant every morning.
I remember all the names that I was like rattling off, like MLB, NBA, and like I don't think I wrote that out.
I had a bunch listed, but then I just did ... like your voice trailed off.
Right.
So you kind of added all that. Like I don't even know what those were at the end. They weren't sports organizations at all.
Some of them were actually.
What's MLE?
MLE? No, I think I said MLB.
Well, MLB makes sense.
MLB, yeah, that's baseball. But I think I was at the point where I was running out of breath, and you could tell because I'm like, and soccer. All right, so let's get into our next track. What do you got for us?
Absolutely. This is what I consider to be the greatest find I have ever made for PixelTunes and one of my favorite tracks I've ever played on the show.
Very cool.
This is Interception Mission 1 from the game Psy Battler, which came out on the arcade in 1993, composed by a bunch of aliases: Pow, Yu Masaaki, Y Tsujimi, and Kiki.
Hey to Mike and all the Pixel Tuners out there, this is Matt, aka Cygnus Destroyer and the LJN Defender, and I'm here to wish you well on this epic milestone of 100 episodes. Wow, it just seems like yesterday when Ed was just cameo in the Dude You Haven't Played These Games episodes, and now you guys, here you are, you've got this community here, you guys love sharing video game music, it's really freaking cool. So proud of you guys. And I had a blast being on the show, and I would love to be on again if you guys want me. Keep on rocking them tunes, showing the love to Tim Fallon and David Wise, Yuzo Koshiro, all those maestros of the chiptune and regular orchestrations. I always love listening to your episodes. I've listened to everyone, some of them more than once. Always enjoyable. You guys just really broaden my taste in music. You lead me to experience stuff I'd never heard before, and the topics that you guys come up with is just very creative. I always love your same song, different system episodes, especially the Akumajo Densetsu one. That one is probably my favorite episode. You guys definitely need to do more episodes like that. But anyway, I'm been a faithful listener to your stuff, and I'm gonna continue listening to, like everybody else listening right now. Awesome job on the 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more, 200 more, and beyond. I'm sure you guys can do it. You guys keep on kicking ass. Anyway, this is Matt, aka Cygnus Destroyer and the LJN Defender, signing out.
Oh my god, my pants. That was Interception Mission 1 from the arcade game Psy Battler, published by Jekel, came out in 1993 by Pow, Yu Masaaki, Y Tsugimi, and Kiki. I wish I knew who these people were because I want to hug them and kiss them and give them my babies or something like that. Yeah, that was from episode 48, Jekel Jams, which we mentioned at the beginning of the show was one of those episodes where we were kind of
it was all me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you suggested it, but we were kind of what's the word for it? Worried?
I think I was kind of like, this would be a great idea.
holy
oh
cow.
man, we gotta actually find
Good music.
good music in Jalico jams.
And then I found this, and I was like, oh my lord, we
Yeah.
need to play this on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything about this track, from the instrument choices to the different solos to that bump, 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 that just constant driving
I love
beat.
the because it sounds like almost like a spy type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it does.
But it's only there. It's only in that beginning part of the track.
Yeah.
That and then it just kind of fades out. It's good stuff.
But then it makes that loop sound so much better because it sounds
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool. It's like, all right, I'll listen to it one more time.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I'm not the kind of person that likes to listen to things like those 30-minute loops on
Sure.
YouTube. This track I could just repeat over and over again, and I will probably not get tired for much longer than I would with most other tracks.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is a great find.
Yeah, it was
Good
this
stuff.
and Soldam, that puzzle game.
Oh man, that track is so damn good.
So damn good. Yeah, that was a skit that we did too.
Yep.
That was funny. Those were the two real gems, in my opinion, that we found from this episode. That I was very happily surprised to see, you know, so much good music coming out of Jalico back in the day that they never really got a lot of credit for. I think their music was really underrated. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and take a listen, because it was one of those things that you skipped over and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear music from Bases Loaded. Like,
Sure.
definitely go check it out, because
Yeah.
you'll be surprised with some stuff that's on there.
No, we found some really amazing stuff for that episode. It was just, there was a lot of variety. It was really cool. And, you know, to be honest, I haven't really revisited the episode, but I'm gonna after listening to this track, because they did some good stuff.
Yes,
Good
yes.
stuff.
We gushed quite a bit over
Yeah.
it when we played it originally.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, like there were puddles like under your seat.
So much gushing.
Yeah, so much
I
gushing.
was
Yeah.
I just like had
Yeah.
to bring Gatorade with me. It's
Right.
dehydrating
Yeah,
from
yeah.
all the gushing.
Yeah. So much gushing. Cool. You did it.
We did it.
So let's get into our next track. I've been wanting to talk about this track forever. Well, since the episode, which was episode 68, which was the Taito episode that I didn't do.
That's right.
This was you and Brian who filled in for me. Brian from Pixelated Audio
Yep.
filled in.
You were off getting married.
I was off getting married. So this is Psychic Force, the arcade and PlayStation. The track came out in 1996. Burning Storm is the name of the track. It's by Hideki Takahagi, also known as Hagi or Zuntara Jam.
Hi, Ed and Mike. I am Alberto Gonzalez, and I'd like to congratulate you guys for your 100th episode. It's really amazing. I hope you make a lot more in the future. Bye!
All right, welcome back. That was Psychic Force, the arcade and PlayStation game released in 1996. That track was Burning Storm by Hideki Takahagi, and that was played on episode 68, the Taito episode, that I was not part of, but I had to pick this track.
Yeah, it's so good. This is the
man.
This is the arcade version of the track, by the way. There's a
Yes.
a arranged version on the PlayStation you can also hear, which is also amazing.
Okay, good stuff. I remember listening to that episode because I made the I did make the video portions. I don't remember when it was. I think it was like
wasn't too long.
It wasn't too long after, but I released the video portions after. So I'm always the one that puts the video portion together. So I'm listening to this, and I hadn't heard the episode. Like, you basically posted the episode, and you're like, here's the track, give it a listen or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any of the tracks that you guys were picking for this. So I'm listening to it, and I'm just like rocking out to this track in particular. I was just like, oh my god! I was like, why did he have to pick this track? Because I think it was either you or did you pick this?
This was
one?
a track from me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, this
so
was
good.
This was great.
So good. So good.
So maybe you can pick the PlayStation version at some point.
Oh, there we go.
You can still enjoy it.
All right. Or we could do like a same song, different system for Psychic Force.
Do a comparison, sure.
Yeah. This track was also in the 2012 version of the game, Psychic Force 2012, which was released.
Oh yeah, and that was yet a different version of this track.
It's a different version.
Yeah.
It's also pretty good, but oh man, this version is in particular just really good. I love how that lead harmony, the da 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 da. I love how that changes when they get into the meat of the track, like the actual verse.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to hear Retro Shred, Jeff Leppard. I'd love to hear him cover this. I think he would do a really good job.
Oh, definitely.
So if you're listening to us, Jeff, get on it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this track.
You get so many views.
Yeah, from
us, just over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. This track was great. I have no words. It's just so good. I love Zuntata. I love the stuff that they do. But this track and the Daddy Mulk track are two of my favorites from them.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as this episode goes, I mean, I had a lot of fun doing this one because
you guys were doing your the side podcast.
We were doing Impulse Project as well.
Yeah.
So we kind of just set everything up like we did with Impulse Project. It wasn't any extra effort to get him to do the show because we already had that stuff down.
Yep.
And then I recorded this like I think the day after I got home from your wedding.
Yeah.
So I talked about your wedding a little bit, talked about just some of the stuff that we did, and then you came back and talked more about your wedding the next episode that we did after this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was kind of fun, like being able to share stuff about you without you being in the room.
Right,
right. But Brian and I, like we do Impulse Project together, but then we also have our own separate VGM podcast. So we both love VGM, of course. So it was nice to be able to get on a podcast and both talk about something
VGM.
that we always kind of like want to talk about during Impulse Project, but never really get a chance to.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like letting that valve release a little bit. So that was fun.
You guys were talking about how many potatoes I ate. You were just like,
are there a lot of potatoes in Vermont?
Mike ate so many potatoes everywhere, forever.
Stuffing
just
them
in general
in his pants.
Just in eating potatoes.
He's just a big potato.
I'm just a big potato.
And if you smoke up, you're a baked potato.
Oh, snap. That's true. All right, so let's move on to your next track.
All right, next up, another great one. This is from Genocide 2 Master of the Dark Communion. This was a track we played on our Sharp X68000 console spotlight back in episode 24. This one is called Shock 72, composed by Hideyuki Shimono and Naoyuki Kimura.
Hi, my name is Rob.
And I'm Pernell.
And we're from the Rhythm and Pixels video game music podcast, and we're here to wish Mike and Ed Happy New Year!
Wait,
oh, no.
What? Oh, no. Happy, what was it now? 100th episode spectacular.
Yes, they had to sit in the room with each other for 100 episodes.
Man, just think of the number of sandwiches they've consumed in one room together.
Think of the number of farts they had to smell from each other.
That's just disgusting.
Well, you're disgusting.
Well, this is true. But hey, sandwiches, I'm okay with that. So, hey guys, we love your show. You guys are great.
You're the best.
Here's to 100 more. Here's to 100 more New Year's, I think.
Yeah, 100 more years.
Rick and Morty, 100 years.
Peace out.
Later.
Welcome back. That was Shock 72 from the game Genocide 2, Master of the Dark Communion, which came out on the Sharp X 68000 in 1991. That was composed by Hideyuki Shimonu and Naoyuki Kimura. And that was from episode 24, our Sharp X 68000 console spotlight. That whole episode, like, it was really hard to choose one track from that episode to share for this show. This one kind of won out because it's like one of those ones that just kind of stand out to me. We talk about, my love of groove and rhythm, and this really exemplifies that. This song is very short on melody, very, very high on groove. It doesn't have those harmonic guitar soaring riffs that Mike plays so much in his tracks.
Sure.
But I just love this tune. I can listen to it over and over again.
I do like the funk vibe that it brings.
Yeah,
though.
definitely.
That's kind of why I really enjoyed this track. Is that So I don't 100% dislike groove-oriented
No, of course,
stuff.
I know.
But if something kind of catches my ear like this, where I'm like, that's pretty fun to listen to. Definitely not a track that I would listen to all the time, but it's definitely a track that I'm pretty sure I have this on my phone, and if not, I need to, because it's one of those tracks where when it does come up, I'll probably listen to the whole thing and probably loop it at least one more time.
Yeah, and definitely one of those tracks where you really need to have that bass turned up, because otherwise you're just hearing those hi-hats. You really need that low end to kind of fill that song out, because that's really what stands out in this track. This is a boss track, so I would, I played up to this because it's just the first level boss. So I remember playing this game as kind of preparation. You and I got together to play a whole bunch of Sharp X 68000 games for this show.
Yeah.
We were at my house playing on an emulator, and, we got to this boss, and we were both really kind of grooving to it. Mm-hmm. And I just love that end where that FM sweep just kind of fades out, and then you get those little hi-hats, and then the song starts back up again. I really love loops like that, where they just kind of like transition to each other so very seamlessly, and a lot of the tracks that I'm playing this episode have that kind of quality to it. So, but yeah, this was one of those episodes where all of the music that we played I was unfamiliar with before we did the episode, and later on became like mainstays in my VGM collection, and now I listen to them all the time. The other runner-up was the... what was it? One Voice in the Cosmic Fugue.
Okay.
From that Hybrid Flamer, whatever it was called. That was a great track too, but it kind of lacked the energy that this one did. So I wanted to keep the show upbeat and happy and celebratory. So
definitely,
that's why it's in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's go for another one of our little skits. This is one of the ones that got the most laughs, I think, from our listeners when it came out. This is Iggy's Balls, based on Iggy's Wreckin' Balls. We featured it in episode 35, our N64 Invasion episode.
This is probably your favorite part of the N64 episode.
Probably. This was one of the ones written by me, surprisingly. Let's take a listen. It's Iggy's Wreckin' Balls. Wreck your balls with your friends.
Oh man, you totally wrecked my balls.
You don't know what fun is until you've had your balls wrecked again and again.
That's it, Billy. You've wrecked my balls for the last time. Prepare your balls for some major retribution.
Iggy's Wreckin' Balls is a game about balls and wrecking them. Wreck your friends' balls. Wreck your own balls. We don't care whose balls you wreck, as long as you wreck some balls.
Oh no, you wrecked all my balls! Now I don't have any more balls left for you to wreck.
Your balls are mine!
Iggy's Wreckin' Balls for the Nintendo 64. Wreck some balls today.
Wow. That was something.
I tell you, man, when we tried really hard not to crack up while we were recording that one. And then it was funny, but then once I put it together and added those sound effects in, I definitely played it for my kids, and they were cracking up too.
I can imagine.
They didn't even know what balls meant, but they just like the wacky sound effects and stuff. I think this is probably my most slapstick.
Oh, definitely.
One we've ever done before.
Yeah, this is probably the most gross, goofiest with the balls sound, the farting noises and whatnot.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I mean, I think that it became harder and harder to write commercials for the show. And, I'd probably say like around episode 70-ish. I think that's when we just started switching just to one. Like, we really were like, all right, we
were kind of forcing ourselves. And I feel like they were kind of getting a little bit like different variations on the same joke over and over again.
Right.
So I would start doing one like whenever inspiration really hit. I was like, oh, I have a great idea for this. I would put one out, but I wouldn't force myself to do it every show.
I tried to do one a show for the most part.
Yeah.
I tried to at least get something in there because I felt it was really important to keep that in the show because, every podcast has music, but not all of them have these like commercial radio skits that we do.
Right.
And I felt like that was really part of the core focus that we really tried to bring to the podcast to kind of differentiate ourselves initially, because I think it was just like Legacy Music Hour and they were done at that point, but then there were some others like I think
VGM Jukebox was out, Mercado Brothers was around.
Yeah.
Now there's a whole ton of them. VGM Jukebox didn't start until we were in our like 20s or something like that.
Yeah.
Pixelated Audio started very shortly after us, but we didn't know about each other until much later.
Yeah.
Then Rhythm and Pixel started up about a year after we did, or 2 years after we did actually.
Yeah.
So
we kind of got in right in that lull where Legacy was done at the time,
right?
And
which was my inspiration to start,
right? And then I think it was VG Empire and like a few others that were kind of like there, but they were like the big guys. There were no like small time, VGM podcasts.
Yeah, there were a few, but we didn't really even know about them either.
Right.
You really have to search for a lot of them.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So I feel like when we started was the best time to start. In all honesty,
people were kind of yearning for like a good studio quality. That's what we tried to do. We tried to make it the best quality possible and not just talk into like a gaming headset microphone and play a couple of random tracks here and there.
I gotta say, I think the N64 episode was pretty underrated. I think we played a lot of really cool tracks on that episode.
We did. I like the music a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still not a big fan of the console as a whole. I just whatever. But we won't get into that now. But I was surprised by the quality of music, and I was actually surprised to find that the music was done by the main CPU, and how when developers wanted to make better music, they had to sacrifice game processing power to do that. So knowing that kind of juggling between your music and your gameplay was a really interesting fact, and kind of made me look at N64 games in a new light.
All right, so let's go into our next track, and I remember this one pretty fondly. This is Silent Mobius Case Titanic X68000 for the Sharp system. 1991 was the year of release. This track is Battle with Ghosts, and it's by Masahiro Kajihara. We played this one on episode 60, Free Pix Gaiden, and I couldn't leave it off the list, so let's give it a listen.
All right.
Mike Tendo and Ed, congratulations on 100 amazing episodes of PixelTunes Radio. I started listening around episode 9, so about May of 2014 when I found you on Stitcher. I started becoming an active fan at episode 20, as the Castlevania episode really made me want to start letting you guys know how awesome you are on Facebook. I actually counted all the spookies on the first Spooky Tunes. Remember when talking about Donkey Kong's that spider, and you called it Steven? I made the Steven meme dog picture. I think Ed said that the podcast has made it when people are making memes about it. I did another picture for Tetraporta Pega Magic Block Slide Dropper Extreme, and one of my very first animated GIFs in Photoshop was Samus, due to that funky Kool-Aid commercial you pointed out. For quite a while, there's this really weird chain of coincidences where you guys would reference stuff during the show, and somehow it also directly happened in my life. So that was odd, but I have fond memories of Mike saying Contra Hard Corpse and just about everything else you guys disagreeing on pronouncing. You guys have really impacted my life, more than just by thinking of you every day due to my PTR coffee mug and the constant Facebook group fun. Ed posted a devs play of Symphony of the Night with Koji Igarashi, which came out right before the Bloodstain announcement. I think Mike may have posted the Kickstarter on his wall, but I remember that PixelTunes gets credit for leading me to Bloodstain. So, due to my enjoyment of your show and my love for Bloodstained, I began my own podcast thanks to you guys. Podcasts reproduced by entering into the mind through the ears and finding fertile imaginations with some determination. Ed helped me with good advice on what services to use to get it all set up. Thanks, Ed. Now I've interviewed many people in the game industry somehow related to Bloodstained, and I've even had Mike Tendo on a couple of times. But it's been a great 100 episodes, and I really feel like I've made some great friends through your show. I've discovered so much game music, and sharing that love of game music with others is made possible by your efforts. So a huge thank you. You guys are the best.
Welcome back. That was, wow, Silent Mobius, Case Titanic. That was the Sharp X68000 version in 1991 was the year of release. That was Battle with Ghosts by Masahiro Kajihara. It was played on episode 60, Free Pix Gaiden. And I remember we did episode 61 right after that, and that was like our retrospective on the first 60 episodes, so we were picking very similar to how we're doing right now.
Yeah, some of our favorites. Some of our opposite picks.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you picked this track on episode 60, and I remember like being really mad because I really wanted to pick this track
back to back,
and just play it, but I couldn't because we just played it. So I was like,
you got your chance.
Yeah. This was literally the first track that I put down when we were picking
I think it was
tracks.
The first one you told me, too.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm absolutely picking that track. Like, this, you know, as far as greatest finds, this is probably the greatest find, in my opinion, on this podcast.
Well, good. Then we got my greatest find, Cy Battler, and your greatest find, Silent Mobius. That all works out.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I love this track. I mean, that bass solo is so awesome, but even before that, it has this very... It's almost a spooky vibe. Like this could work for a Spooky Tunes episode, but it's more like a bunch of skeletons like breakdancing on a tombstone or something like that than anything else. I remember listening to this. The song sounds like it loops twice before it actually gets to that bass solo. Yeah. So I was expecting the song to fade out at that point because I think I was just listening to some stuff on random or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's the end of the song. And then that part comes in and I'm like, Mike's gonna love this. So I threw it in the show specifically for that reason. And I was right.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. You know, which I'm kind of regretting that I didn't pick any Sunsoft music because we didn't get a chance to say Dat Sunsoft bass.
It's true. Now we've got Dat Mobius bass.
Dat Silent Mobius bass. Yes. Which that's another one of the long-running Pixel Tunes jokes. I think we used that one a lot more in the earlier days because I think we picked we're very heavy with picking Sunsoft stuff.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Back then.
Yeah. But, with this one, I feel like maybe it'll become a meme of its own.
Yes.
Who knows? I think bass solos have become kind of a Pixel Tunes meme because there's that boss track from Super EDF that I played a while back that has an excellent one. I always love it when they break out with them.
Paperboy 2 on Super NES.
I mean, who could forget that?
What we did with, was that VGM Jukebox?
Yep.
We did that episode? Oh my god, that was an incredible episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
all the episodes where we've had fellow VGM podcast people on is just really fun. Like, all those episodes are a lot of fun.
Yes,
just 'cause they're
Rhythm and
people
Pixels,
like,
VGM Jukebox.
Yeah,
that's
audio,
why I wanted to get together with them for Retro World Expo, because I feel like we click so well with all those guys. We all have such similar interests.
Yeah.
And then, we all got together. We all had a fantastic weekend together. I barely even saw you that much.
I really
kind of ran with our own circles of friends.
I know. I was just so busy with panels, and like because I was a guest, I was expected to be there. I couldn't just be like, okay, bye, and leave. Which I'm kind of kicking myself now, because because I was a guest, I didn't realize that I could actually sit down in, like, they had an area for me, like, how they have like the booths or whatever.
Yeah.
They had a booth for me, and I didn't even know it.
Oh my god!
So the entire time I'm walking around, and like right before the end of the Retro World Expo, the last day on Sunday, Lance, the guy who was running the panels, comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, did you know that you had a booth this entire time?" He was like, "You weren't at it once." I was like, I didn't even know. I'm like, I'm really sorry. He's like, yeah. I was like, he's like, you could have, put your stuff there or whatever, like hung out. I was like, wow, I totally didn't. I'm so used to not going to
being there
being there as a guest.
Yeah.
So I'm so used to just walking the floor all day.
Right.
It didn't even occur to me.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah. So, but I wish I got to hang out with those guys a little bit more, just because I know we kind of saw each other. We did the panels, and we hung out that previous night where we did
that Friday.
Yeah, which was cool.
Yeah. And then Saturday we all got together. We all went to the expo together. Hung out with Rob, who was not hanging out with us that previous night.
Right.
We ended up buying some board games downstairs on the vendor floor. We went up to where the panels were. There's a little like living room style area. So we ended up playing some board games up there.
Cool.
Because we were just getting worn out because it was busy. There was a lot of noise. We just kind of wanted a place to chill. And then we went back to my place Saturday night, and we were like, so do you guys want to go back tomorrow? And everyone was kind of like, we had so much fun hanging out at your place. So we ended up like just staying at my place and playing video games and board games all day Sunday, which was a lot of fun too.
Awesome.
So, but we all agreed we had a blast. Everybody wants to do it again next year. So hopefully we can coordinate something and get a sequel to all that stuff going on.
VGM Spooktacular.
Yeah, maybe not spooky. Maybe we can just do regular music. Who knows? We'll hopefully be able to get a panel next year. That'll be fun.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next track. This is your final pick.
You were just talking about something about repeating patterns, and I think maybe this is one of the ones that you might actually enjoy.
Yeah.
This is from Dangun Feveron, otherwise known as Fever SOS. This is Dancing Bomber, composed by Ryuichi Yabuki and Nanpei Masawa.
こんにちは。ビデオゲームの作曲家松前まなみです。100回目の放送おめでとうございます。これからもどんどん続いていきますようお祈りしています。I'm video game composer Manami Matsumae. Congratulations on 100 episodes. I wish you all the best of success. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. That was Dancing Bomber from Dangun Feveron, or Fever SOS, depending on your country. That came out in the arcade in 1988, composed by Ryuichi Yabuki and Nanpei Masawa. That was from way back in episode 7, our first Shmup Tracks episode, which was, I think, one of my favorite episodes of the first 20 or so that we did, because when we started the podcast, that was one of the themes I definitely couldn't wait to start.
Oh, yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed. We didn't know each other very well at that point.
Right. We didn't know each other's taste in music.
Right. And taste in games, too.
Yeah,
I guess I just figured that everybody loved shmups. And so when you were like, oh, I don't really know anything but UN Squadron, I was like, oh. We need to do a shmup episode.
Yeah.
Because that's my favorite
genre.
Shmup music is what I grew up with on the Super Nintendo and
so
all
funny.
that. So I was chomping at the bit to do one of these, and finally I got you out of your shell 7 episodes in, and we had a really good
Only
show.
7 episodes in. It's like I gave up my shmup virginity that early on.
Still, it was 3 or 4 months of doing the podcast.
Be gentle, Ed.
Yeah, but even you said so during that time that you discovered a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't have.
Absolutely. This whole podcast has been extremely eye-opening for FM synth and shmups and shooters. And now I own at least a dozen shooters. At least. That I could... Thunder Force,
Blazing Lasers.
Blazing Lasers, which I just mentioned. Now I actively go out and look for shmups.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the sort of thing where if I'm going to go game hunting or whatever, if I find a game and it's a Genesis game specifically and it's a shmup, I'm gonna buy it.
It's very rare to find a shmup Genesis game that doesn't have at least a 7 out of 10 rated soundtrack.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so, I think I picked, Steel Empire for this, and Thunder Force 4, or Lightning Force it's called.
Right.
So those two I remember picking. I don't remember how I came across them. I think I may have just, searched online for them, in all honesty. And those were really, honestly, I was gonna pick those two. I had seen you pick Dangun Feveron, and I was like, alright, I'm just gonna let him pick that, and, I do really like this track. This really kind of sounds like a Tim Fallon track to me.
It does a lot,
It's got that funk 70s vibe.
Didn't even really think about that.
Kind of sounds like that episode that we did just a little while ago, the House of the Dead, the light gun game episode that we did.
Oh, yeah.
Or shooting gun games or whatever we call
it.
Sounds a lot
House
like
of the Dead
that.
Overkill?
Yeah, House of the Dead Overkill. Yeah, that funk vibe, that 70s funk. It's really, I love that type of music. So it's always a pleasure to hear this type of music. So.
This was a shmup that I didn't know anything about. It was in MAME.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those, games that was under a list of genre. You search, sort them by shmups, and this just happened to come up. And I was, when I was much younger, probably a decade before we started this podcast, I was kind of obsessed with shoot 'em ups. And so in MAME, I would just kind of go down the list and play each one. And then, so I ended up playing this one. It was a cave shooter, a vertical bullet hell style shooter, but everything was disco oriented. So all the music was this style music. And you would get disco points, and there'd be disco balls that come down when you get combos and stuff.
That's
and
cool.
It was very
visually captivating.
It was very strange seeing a shoot 'em up with futuristic ships, but then also a disco aesthetic to it. But the music was fantastic. And but it was very low quality because it was all kind of compacted into an arcade ROM. So I was lucky enough. I searched around and I found that there was an actual OST with CD quality versions of that music, and so I was thrilled that I could pull from something high quality to get that on the show. So, but this soundtrack has been on my phone probably since I found it when I was looking for music for the podcast. So it's just great stuff.
I remember, I recall us hanging out at your place playing some of these shmups because I really...
That's right,
I was really...
popping your shmup cherry.
Yeah, man. So I remember playing a bunch of these and they were all really good for the most part. I remember that one that we played where we got really far into it. I don't think it was this. I think it was the Shmup episode 2. I think it was 1943 Kai or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great game.
And you and I were playing that game and we got up to... I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't say we got bored with it, but we were like, alright, we should probably move on. But we played almost the whole game.
Yeah, that was a TurboGrafx 16 game. Or actually, I think it was a PC Engine only release. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's one of the few PC Engine games I actually own. So we were playing the physical version, which is weird at my house.
Yeah, right?
All right, so you want to move on to our next track?
Yeah, our next and last track.
And last track.
This track is a great track to go out on, and it also is no excuse. I really wanted to hear it again. I wanted to talk about it on the show again. So my final track, and the final track of episode 100, is Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest for the Super NES. It came out in 1995. This is Sticker Bush Symphony, and it's by Mr. David Wise, and this was played on the episode where we featured all tracks by David Wise, episode 23.
All right, let me stop you right there before you move on, because I saw you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody calls it Sticker Brush Symphony.
Yeah.
It's actually in the OST.
Yeah.
It's Sticker Bush Symphony.
Okay.
The first person to ever upload it to YouTube mistyped it as Brush.
Really?
And now literally everywhere on the internet is Brush.
Okay.
When it should be Bush.
Sticker Bush Symphony, right.
Which makes more sense, because a sticker bush is a real thing. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as a sticker brush.
Right.
And I do want to thank Josh and Emily at VGM Jukebox for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So now
Sticker
we're going
bush.
to keep it, because I think in our first episode, or episode 23, when we played this,
we called it Sticker
it the
Brush.
Sticker Brush, because it's everywhere. So.
Yep. No, Sticker Bush Symphony.
Now you know.
Oh boy.
All right, let's get into it.
Oh my god, you guys! Holy crap, it's Nornrad. Holy crap, it's the 100th episode of the PixelTunes Radio podcast. Congratulations, Ed and Mike. That is no small task. That's crazy. You guys are doing good work. I can't wait to see what happens in the next 100 episodes. Let's go for 100 more, boys. Let's do it!
What a fitting way to end episode 100. That was Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest on the Super NES. Came out in 1995. That was Sticker Bush Symphony. And
I'll stick your bush.
Gross. Nice. You did it. David Wise was the composer that was played on episode 23, the David Wise Spotlight that we did. That's actually on YouTube. That's one of our biggest episodes.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how many people really loved that episode.
I really love that episode.
Yeah, it's great. It's got a lot of really good music.
A lot of nostalgic stuff for me in that episode too.
Definitely.
Because there were a lot of stuff that
Battletoads and
even like Captain Skyhawk and like Snake Rattle and Roll.
Yeah.
The games that I played as a kid that I didn't know that he worked on.
Yes.
You know, everybody was like Donkey Kong Country. That's where I first kind of learned his name.
Yes.
And then going back to those NES days, it was fun to see like a lot of these tracks that I listened to as a kid were actually composed by the same man. So
yeah,
it
very
was
true.
really cool.
Yeah. So I absolutely love this track. It's one of my favorite video game music tracks of all time. It's probably in my top 10, in all honesty. We've got one more commercial break. This one was written by me. This was probably the longest commercial I've ever written for the podcast, and this was Real World Midgar, and this came out on episode 54.
Here's a sneak peek at a brand new show coming soon on the Nest Network.
This is a fictional story.
A totally fictional story
of 7 strangers.
Make that 8, whatever!
Picked to live in an apartment and have their lives taped.
To find out what happens
when people stop fighting evil
and finally start living in a fantasy. Look, a train.
The Real World Midgar!
Hi, I'm Tifa. So it's move-in day. We're living just south of my bar, the 7th Heaven. I've met a few of the people here, and it's going okay, so far. Though, I thought this was an 18 and older show, and well, Onion Knight seems very underage.
Hey lady, I just look young. But trust me, just because you're the most popular doesn't mean you're the best.
Do you mind? I'm trying to do my interview.
You landlubbers don't know how good you got it. Squishing your toes on soft ground. Not risking splinters if you go barefoot like on my ship. And look at this! Forks!
We get it, Ferris. You're a pirate. Do you have to bring it up all the time?
Yes, Aaron. Yes, I do. Did I mention I'm definitely not a lady as well?
Do you mind, Cecil?
Huh? Oh, I was just, inspecting your shirt there, Tifa. What is that, white cotton?
You don't have to stare, you know. We're gonna be living together, so you may as well get used to them, whatever.
Don't mind if I do.
Actually, I do.
Oh, don't tell my wife Rosa.
Hey, Selfie, what are you looking at out there?
Hey, guys! Look at the window! I don't believe it, guys. Guys, oh my god, here it comes! It's a train! It's a train! I fucking love trains! Trains are so great. Hey, guys, come here. Come look at the train. It's got a steam cloud and it goes and I bet there's a conductor on board and tickets. Oh, I love the ticket stubs. They're so cool.
What's her deal? She's apparently really into trains. More like, what's your deal?
I'm a ninja. So what?
Talk about out of place.
Do not cast a shadow over our group, Miss Lockhart.
Oh, funny. 'Cause your name's Shadow. Clever.
Why don't we go up to my bed and I'll show you my little dog?
Excuse me, I don't know what kind of girl you think I...
No, seriously, I have a little dog. His name's Interceptor. He likes belly rubs.
Aw, how cute.
Whatever! Wait, Squall's here? I thought we already had someone from Final Fantasy VIII.
He's more or less just a guy on the couch who's super negative and emo.
Whatever! God! Leave me alone!
Squall! Hey, Squall! Trains! I love trains. Oh boy, this is gonna be a long 3 months. Better stock up on potions.
The Real World Midgar, premiering this fall, only on the Nest Network.
Nest Network! Alright, welcome back. That was The Real World Midgar, episode 54. That was something.
That was a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
For both recording and for editing.
Oh yeah. Well, we had, a bunch of our friends, and my wife was, in that one too, playing Tifa, and then we had our friend Ariel and Justin. They were in it, and they played multiple characters. I think.
And then Todd was already there because he was recording the show with us.
Right. So yeah, we kind of brought in a bunch of people to do that one, and I think it came out really well, actually. I mean, for the most part. Looking back on it, I kind of wish that I brought more like real world aspects of it into the mix, like kind of like, oh, who ate all the peanut butter, like that sort of thing. Where it's like people actually who were living together. I was just more trying to focus on making sure that I was introducing all the characters and being like faithful to,
their personalities.
Yeah, their personalities and like, the characters and what they look like and everything. So that's really what I was trying to focus on, trying to deliver. And like, it's also really difficult to like fit characters' names into the conversation and make it flow very naturally.
Yeah.
And not have it be like, oh, I am now talking to Cecil. Like, you know, that sort of thing.
Here he comes down the road.
Right. So that was a big challenge writing this one. But I dig doing the skits quite a bit. They're a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will do many more, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So we have one more PixelChat question. This one comes to us from Key Glyph.
Yeah, and we chose this one because I feel like it's a great question to ask for the end of the show because it's kind of a very reflective or self-reflective question, which Key Glyph is so great at coming up with. So why don't you...
Yeah. So tell us some ways doing this podcast that have affected your life. For example, what are some objectively bizarre things that seem totally normal now? What connections have you made that you wouldn't have made otherwise? How have you changed as a person? Jump off that introspective cliff and go where the waters take you. I mean, I for the most part, I would say that my musical taste in terms of video game music has very much expanded, and that I look at a lot of music now that I wouldn't have normally researched or tried to find, and I feel like I have all these composers' names kind of floating around my head at all times that now I'll listen to a track and I'll be like, wait, was that by Hiroshi Sakamoto, or was that Motoi Sakuraba? Like,
right.
That's kind of the way that I think about video game music nowadays. And also, like, the chips, too. I never really sat down and thought about, like, the difference between, like, YM2151 or, like, any of that stuff. So I think you kind of brought a lot of that stuff to the table where, like, I didn't really care about any of that stuff. Now I think I more have, like, a appreciation for the way that these composers went about creating these tracks and this music and how that music would fit into game development. And I think that's just mind-bogglingly huge. I mean, I didn't realize how difficult it would be to make these songs. And we've talked about this time and time again on the podcast, that video game music, especially in the early days, was less composing and more like engineering, like computer programming. Yeah. And so I learned so much about video game music just from doing these, the past 4 years, these 100 episodes. I guess structure is something that is really changed as far as, like, in my personal life.
Yeah.
So now I feel like this podcast, like, it has a structure, it has a place where, every other week, I get to sit down with Ed and we get to talk about tracks that we love.
And there's stuff to plan out. Like, it kind of, like, helps you move throughout. There's always something to look forward to. There's always, like, something on your to-do list in the background of your head that, like, oh, I got to edit this, or oh, I got to research this. But it's always fun stuff. It's always different stuff. And I think that's one of the best things about it is, like, at a job, you always constantly got stuff to do, but it might be the same stuff over and over again. Yeah. Oh, I got to do this inventory now. Or, oh, I've got to add new students to the roster or whatever, I do at my job. But with this, it's always like, oh, I get to go find out more about the Genesis. Or, oh, I get to go play some games for research, like boo-hoo us,
Yeah, right.
So that's always been really cool.
And we do this as a we don't really make any money off this show, to be honest. We don't.
It's a pure passion project.
Absolutely, yeah. We love just sharing video game music with our listeners and with our fans, and we really just I couldn't even imagine 4 years ago getting to this level where we would have people eagerly awaiting our episodes. Like, that's just really cool.
For sure. So as far as, like, some objectively bizarre things that seem totally normal now, I cannot listen to, like, the radio or another podcast or anything without being like, oh, all right, here's an editing technique I should try out, or oh, here's some cool stuff that I could learn, or oh, they totally screwed up on that edit, or I can definitely tell that was a jump cut, or so I'm listening like I assume, like, composers and musicians would do when they listen to other music. Like, I listen to audio now in an entirely different way from a much more, like, I guess, professional point of view. So there's that. What connections that I've made that I wouldn't have made otherwise.
All the
so
VGM
many friends.
podcasters.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Emily and Pernell and Rob and Josh and everyone from the video game music community. Mike McDaniel,
Jeff
all of our
Leppard,
friends, Cam Worma. All these guys that are just so awesome and have supported us over the last 100 episodes.
Yep.
And other VGM podcasters, which I love supporting them, and I know, that it feels so good that they enjoy supporting us and that they like collaborating with us, and kind of people that if I wasn't doing a video game music podcast, I'd be listening to them anyway and considering them like my heroes, or like almost kind of like small-time celebrities.
Yeah.
But I get to be their peers and hang out with them and do the things that they're doing. And we respect each other for our craft, so it's so cool to do that.
Yeah.
And how have I changed as a person? I think I've become a lot more confident, especially in terms of knowing that people enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
Because before I didn't really have any hobbies, and my wife was always like, you should do something. Like, all you do is like, you play video games, or you go bowling every once in a while or whatever, but you should really find something to do.
Get out of the house. I don't want you around.
Yeah, I mean, she had her knitting, and she had stuff that she was doing in her
dealing
community.
with you is her own hobby.
Dealing with me is a hobby. Yeah. And so I got this hobby, and now she's like, oh, your hobby takes up too much time, and I'm like, well, there's no in between.
Yeah, I hear you.
She used to be like that, but not so much anymore. We're very used to the kind of schedule that it takes. But
now she's just trying to figure out like how to stop making you tuna sandwiches.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. She's just like, listen, I never told you this, but every other week she calls me and she's like, I had to make Ed another tuna fish sandwich, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And then she's like, yeah. And he likes it with the crust cut off like a monster.
Like a monster.
Like a monster.
The crust is the best part.
Yes. You monster.
I hope she's putting cheddar cheese on these secret tuna fish sandwiches, because that's how I like my tuna.
Oh, yeah.
I hope she's listening.
What about pickles?
Oh, definitely pickles.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely
cheese
pickles.
and pickles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if there's no pickles, relish will do, but
yes.
I like the pickles because it's crunchier.
Yes.
Anyhow, so yeah, I think my life has 85% changed because of this podcast. There's just so many things that I do and ways that I think about things, and just my entire personality now is more upbeat, because I always feel like there's something creative that I can put my energies into, where before I felt like I had a lot of creative energy and no way to
show it.
Yeah. And, you had your video series before this, so I'm sure you had some of that going on.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I will say that when I was creating episodes for Dude Yum Played This Game, especially in the early days, I really only did that. Like, I only focused on doing those episodes and trying to make them as best as I could. And I didn't really have any filler content initially on the channel, on the youtube.com/dongle channel. Mm-hmm. So I needed something to kind of pepper in the meantime. And so when we first started posting PixelTunes on there, it was more like hey, I can, just post something extra. But now I have people that actually come and comment on the podcast on the channel, and they're like exclusively only on YouTube. Or we'll get comments from people who can only listen on YouTube because, their work doesn't allow podcatchers.
Yeah, or they're in a country where they can't get it or something.
Yeah. So it's really cool to be able to make that video portion available, even though it doesn't get like a ton of hits. It's still good that
some people's primary way of accessing our content.
And we were one of the first podcasts that did that. Like, I don't think a lot of VGM podcasts put video versions of. I know Pixelated Audio does, but I don't think anybody else really does. So it's a neat way for us to be able to give a little bit more content to people. And we found people that have found my channel through PixelTunes, and then vice versa. We've had people who were PixelTunes fans first, and then ended up becoming fans of my channel,
right?
And vice versa. So it's really cool that everybody is kind of like intermingled and connected, and the people that watch my shows and my channel stuff, all that content, also kind of watch PixelTunes or listen to PixelTunes. So it's cool to have that family kind of collaborate and combine.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we'd also like to thank everybody who submitted bumpers to us.
Yes.
Matt Furness, Brian and James from Pixelated Audio, Dredd, otherwise known as Trevin Hughes, Barry Leach, the folks from VGM Jukebox, Josh and Emily, Matt Ezra, the Cygnus Destroyer, Alberto Jose Gonzalez, Robin Purnell from Rhythm and Pixels, Mike McDaniel, Manami Matsumai, Norin Rad, and Hiroyuki Iwatsuki. These names, man.
For real.
So such awesome composers and such awesome people and awesome friends.
Yeah, we were really fortunate to be able to get, we want to thank especially the composers, want to thank them for taking time out of their day to just, throw together something quick and send it over to us. And that's
absolutely. And other names that we might not have mentioned over the show that have been huge supporters of us. Jeff Leopard from Retro Shred.
Yeah.
Cam Worma obviously has been on a ton of shows and has always been very active on our Facebook group.
Todd. Anyone who's been a guest. Scott. Todd. Brian. Yep. Yeah. And
who else has been on there?
And you, Ed.
Cams.
We need to thank you, Ed.
Aw, thanks. Thank you, too, for whatever it is that you do.
Yeah. I don't know. Providing jokes.
Yes,
Bad jokes.
The color commentary while I sit here doing my dry research stuff. Yes. The whole Facebook community has been so amazingly awesome. We really appreciate every single post you guys put up there. It has been creative, has been, helped us talk about video game music more. It's been like a very fight-free and drama-free community for the most part.
Yeah, which is great.
Being a moderator of that group has been super duper easy.
Yeah. So again, that's facebook.com/groups/PixelTunes Radio. Join us.
Oh, Cam Childs. Totally forgot to mention him.
Cam
Obviously,
Childs,
he's been on our show before, and he's been totally awesome.
Yeah,
so.
Anybody who's been a guest, Aaron Hickman.
Wee Guy,
yep. Nico, a.k.a. the Wee Guy. Can't forget that. So, yeah, Matt Azaro, like everybody. Anybody who's been a guest on the show.
Yep. Aaron Lilly, Vasily Botchkov, all the people that post in our group over and over and over again with really
anybody
cool content.
who listens to the show.
Wicked Sephiroth.
Yep.
He's been a big fan of us. Ian, he's been a really good dude lately.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
For listening to PixelTunes Radio for 100 episodes. That's awesome.
I'm sick of me by now.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know how you guys are.
So, let's talk about next episode. It's going to be a free pick. Episode 101. We wanted to do something just simple.
Start off
easy.
a new 100.
Yes.
Fresh and clean.
Whole new 100, yep. So, we're going to jump off with a free pick.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, and taking us out. So, I'm sure if you guys have heard our Norin Rad episode, you know that when Matt Creamer does something, he puts 1,00000% effort into it. He gave us a whole bunch of different bumpers that we could choose from to play on the show. So we played, one of our favorite ones. It was very energetic. We're gonna play a couple at the end. After we end the show, we'll have a couple of our other favorites that he put in there.
Yep.
Maybe another Easter egg from Pixelated Audio as well. We'll throw that in there. But thank you, Matt, for taking so much time to record all these really cool. He put sound effects and different vocal effects, and he did a really cool job. We were cracking up the entire time we were listening to it.
We should also mention the Trevin Hughes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. His was entirely done on a Genesis.
Yes.
So he composed the music, the FM music for it, and then all of his voice was digital audio channel sample from it. So you can actually play that on a real Genesis, which is what I did. That was a hardware recording of his voice and his music.
Super cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. Feel very honored to have stuff that was made on a classic console dedicated to PixelTunes. It's a really cool feeling. So thank you very much for that, Trevin.
Super cool. All right, so let's get into the very last portion, which is just the Norin Rad clips, Matt Creamer, and Pixelated Audio. And again, thank you very much for listening to PixelTunes Radio. If you need to follow us on YouTube, which again, youtube.com/dongold. You could also check us out at pixeltunesradio.com. You can email us at pixeltunesradio@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at pixeltunesradio.
Yes, and our group on Facebook is facebook.com/groups/pixeltunesradio. So, this is Ed and Mike signing off for our 100th episode. We'll see you again for episode 101 in 2 weeks.
Peace out.
Peace.
Hey everybody, you're listening to the PixelTunes Radio podcast. This is Norin Rad coming at you with a special congratulations to Ed and Mike on all of their hard work and achievements.
You're listening to the 100th episode of the PixelTunes Radio podcast. This is Norin Rad with a special congratulations message to Ed and Mike on all of their hard work.
So it was a good memory for me. So anyways, hope you guys keep it up. And here's to another 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, and the next track that you guys are going to hear is from Crazy Bus. Take a listen. No, I'm just kidding.